Satan kills Christians. He did it in the first century. He's doing it in Syria. He's doing it in Iraq. He's doing it in Libya. He's doing it all over the world. More visible now, perhaps, to us isolated Western Christians than it ever has been. And it's happening because Jesus said it would happen. Luke 21:16, some of you they will put to death. Or these amazing words as he's walking, bearing his cross, and he sees the women crying, and he says, if they do these things when the wood is dry, what will they do when it is green? No, I said it backwards. Glad I caught myself. And maybe you'll remember it because of it. If they do this when the wood is green, what will happen when it is dry? Meaning, it's hard to burn green wood, and they're about to burn it. You're easy to burn. And you will. That's what he was saying. It happens all over the world. If they do these things when the wood is green, what will they do when John Piper's sinful dryness is exposed? So the question is, will you worship the mighty contenders for the authority of God in your life? Beastly contenders hovering over your campus with supernatural powers of deception. Will you worship the beastly contenders for the authority of God in your life, or will you worship the Lamb? Do you know by what power you will be rescued from that deception? Here's the answer. It's in verse 8. I'll start in verse 7 again. We're still in Revelation 13. Authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation, given to the beast. And all who dwell on the earth will worship it. Everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of the life of the Lamb that was slain. Get that? If your name is not in the book, you will worship non-Lamb powers. But if your name is in the book, you will not worship the beast. Why not? Why is there a perfect correlation between being in the book and not worshiping? The book was written before the foundation of the world with all the names. Because the name of the book is the book of life of the Lamb who was slain, which means that the blood of the Lamb secures and guarantees the life of those who are written in the book forever. They will not worship the beast. They will worship the Lamb at any cost. What power will keep you from worshiping on your campus? Beastly alternatives to Jesus? Deceptive supernatural powers against which human resistance is hopeless? What power will keep you? The power of God Almighty, totally devoted to those who are in the book. There is nothing more important than to know whether you're in the book. And this is all rooted in eternity past. The names were written, verse 8, before the foundation of the world. Unless you think there's some kind of grammatical issue there, which there is, I'll confirm it with verse 8 of chapter 17. The dwellers on the earth whose names have not been written in the book of life before the foundation of the world will marvel at the beast. If your name is not in the book, you'll say, whoa, ho, ho, that's attractive. I'm getting on that wagon. Conquering all these Christians. Christianity is over. It's over in the Middle East. I'm on that ISIS bandwagon. Is your name in the book of life of the Lamb that was slain? You can't know it by peeking. There's no peeking because the Lamb's book is shut until chapter 20, verse 12. And then at the judgment, it will be opened. Can you know? If you're in the book, you can. Do you remember who the saints are? Verse 7. The saints, according to chapter 14, verse 12, here is a call for the endurance of the saints. The saints are in the book. The saints and the book are the same. Here's a call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of God and their faith in Jesus. There is a perfect correlation in this room. Houston, Phillips, here, there's a perfect correlation between those who are in these rooms written in the book and those who, by God's Spirit, embrace Jesus Christ as the treasure of their lives and trust Him like a little baby dependent on their father. There's a perfect correspondence between the saints and the book, between the believers and the book. To be in the book is to be a believer. To be a believer is to be in the book. The saints are in the book, and the saints are believers in Jesus. Travel with me now forward to the center point of history where these saints written in the book from before the foundation of the world are purchased. Ephesians chapter 5, Christ loved the church and gave Himself up for her. How did He do that? How did Christ obtain His bride? By giving Himself up. Up, what? He gets very specific when He talks to the elders in Acts 20, verse 28. Care for the church of God, which He obtained with His own blood. That's how He gives Himself up. He sheds His blood. He knows, I'm the Lamb. The Lamb is slain for the life of the book. I will pour out my blood for my bride. I will have my bride at any cost. I will purchase her. And then he gets beautifully descriptive in 1 Corinthians 6:20. You were bought with a price. Indeed, you were. And what a price it was, the slaying of the Lamb of God. And now we travel one more time to the future, the eternal future, and we see the appointed people written in the book, the purchased people now praising God with the song of the universe forever and ever. Worthy are you to take the scroll and to open its seals, for you were slain, and by your blood you ransomed people for God from every tribe and tongue and people and nation. That's what we'll be singing, praising Him forever and ever. So let me summarize now these two trips. First time, we saw in our journey to eternity past that the Lamb was slain in the mind of God before the foundation of the world. Then we saw that he is sung for eternity as the song of the universe. And then we circled back and we saw the actual slaying on a hill outside Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. Then we did the trip again, and we saw in the past that in the mind of God there was not only a lamb slain, but there was a list in the book for whom he will purchase them. He will purchase them. So appointed, purchased, and then we traveled forward and saw them praising the Lamb forever. And now the journey ends in these rooms with you and the purpose for your life of what all of this means. That's where we're going next. There are three purposes. What does it mean for you personally? Did you see yourself there? What does it mean for you that the Lamb was slain in the mind of God in eternity past? What does it mean for you that you were purchased in the center of history? And what does it mean for you that you'll be singing if your names are in the book? Three things. Number one, your name is in the book so that you will see the glory of the Lamb. Seeing the Lamb as beautiful is the great vocation of the Christian. This is the fountain of all the godliness in your life. Seeing the Lamb as supremely beautiful and satisfying and compelling. The devil knows this. And that's why Paul said in 2 Corinthians 4:4, Satan has blinded the minds of unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ. This is the most terrifying thing in the world to me. That people I love or myself may be so blinded by the devil that they look at Jesus and he is not beautiful. He's not their treasure. Money is their treasure. Videos are their treasure. Making grades are their treasure. The boyfriend is their treasure. That to me is the most terrifying thing in the world. Death is not terrifying. To be so deceived that you can't see Jesus as the treasure of your life, that's the most terrifying thing. The great first decisive result of being in the book is that Jesus is beautiful to you. You see him for who he is. That's the effect of being in the book. So the risen Lamb says to us in Revelation 1:18, I died, and see, I am alive forevermore. See. It's a command. Revelation 5:5, the elder says to John, weep no more. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah has conquered. Revelation 22:7, the Lamb says, see, I am coming soon. See, I'm alive. See, I conquered. See, I'm coming. Do you see? To be in the book is to see. And then in chapter 1, he tells us what he saw when he looked at the risen Lamb. His eyes were like a flame of fire. His feet were like burnished bronze, refined in a furnace. His voice was like the roar of many waters. And in his right hand, he held 7 stars. From his mouth came a sharp 2-edged sword. And his face was like the sun shining in full strength. the first and decisive effect of being in the book of life of the Lamb that was slain is that you see the Lamb as supremely precious. More than anything else in your life. Do you? Second, this means that since your name is in the book, you will live and die humbly and happily to show that Jesus is more precious than life. So I'm moving from seeing to showing. First effect of being in the book is you see. Second effect of being in the book is that you live and you die humbly and happily in order to show Jesus is more precious than life. If your name is in the book, your calling is not to stay alive, but to stay in love. Death is a small thing compared to hell, a very small thing. So many today that are trying to figure out ways, we're going to keep ourselves alive, going to take them out. If you're in the book, that's not your goal. The purpose of being in the book, of being known, appointed, loved, purchased, singing, the point is not to keep yourself alive, but to keep yourself in love with Jesus. To love Jesus so much, nothing, not even death, will stop it. This is the spirit that must run in our day. We're ready to die for the world. We don't kill for the world. We die for the world. That's what Christians do. We keep ourselves in love. We don't keep ourselves alive. And by your life, humble, happy. By your death, humble, happy, the Lamb is seen to be more precious than anything. Isn't that the way it works? If you can die happily in fellowship and security with Jesus, you make him look really good, really precious. But if you are, at any cost, you're not killing me, what does that show? Like, you're just like everybody. That's what it shows. The world will not rise up and say, tell me the reason for the hope that is in you. They'll know where the hope that is in you. It's in your holster. That's where it is. Do not fear those who are about to suffer. This is Revelation 2:10. Do not fear what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison, that you may be tested. And for 10 days you will have tribulation. Be faithful unto death, and I, this is Jesus talking, I will give you the crown of life. I think Jesus would say right now, do you hear me? I will give you the crown of life if you endure in love to me to the end of your life. I will give you the crown of life. I will not send 10,000 messengers to crown my 10,000 martyrs. No, I won't. I will come to you personally. I will pick you up. I will take you to myself. I will put the crown on your head, and you know why it's a crown of life? Because I, the life of the world, touch you when I put the crown on your head. I will do this personally, individually for you. I will crown you. You don't need to save your life. You need to stay with me. You need to love me more than anything. Is your name in the book of life of the Lamb that was slain? If so, You now have two callings so far, and there'll be a third. The first calling is to see Him as more precious than anything. And the second calling is to show Him more precious than life by the happy, humble way you live and the happy, humble way you take the bullet. Lastly, number 3. All of that leads to a great privilege, the greatest of all, being glorified with Him or sharing in His glory. You will eat of the tree of life in the paradise of God. And beyond all imagination, I think what I'm about to quote here from Revelation 2, where is it? 3:21. What I'm about to quote from Revelation 3:21 may be the most breathtaking thing that could be said about you in the future. So see if you think so. The one who conquers, now that's you, enduring to the end in love and faith for Jesus. The one who conquers, I will grant him to sit with me on my throne, as I also conquered and sat down with my Father on His throne. You're going to share the rule of the universe. I mean, that's the least it means. We will be taken into the Lamb's fellowship and take our seat with Him. I can't picture this throne. You shouldn't try. It doesn't make sense. You will sit with Him. This is millions of people, all right? You will sit with Him personally, individually, on the throne as He sits on the Father's throne. That's what it means in your future to be in the book of life of the Lamb that was slain. John saw, we read, His face shining like the sun in full strength. Revelation 1:16. I saw Him shining like the sun in full strength. Yes, and now you, sitting with Him on the throne of the universe with God Almighty. What about your face? This is what Jesus says about your face. The righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. People won't be able to look at you without new eyes to keep from being blinded at your glory. The Lamb will transform your lowly body to be like His glorious body by the power that enables Him to subject all things to Himself. And you will be free from sinning. Oh, hasten the day, right? You will be freed from sinning and sorrow and sickness and shame, and you will be happy. You will be as happy as you can be forever. Now, if any of you is afraid, and you do not know if your name is in the book, at least I can imagine that would be the case, and so much hangs on it, and it was written before the foundation of the world. If you're afraid right now that your name might not be in the book, or you wonder if it's in the book, or you wonder, what can I do? Here's the way I want to end. One more minute. I want you to hear God speak a final word to you from the final book of the Bible, from the final chapter of the Bible. And isn't it, it must be significant. It just must be significant that the last book of God's revelation and the last book in the book of God's revelation and the last chapter in the last book of the book of Revelation would be this. This is what He wants you to hear. The Spirit and the bride say, come. And let the one who hears, that's me, say, come. And so I do. I say, come. 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 Let the one who is thirsty, surely that would be all of us. Let the one who is thirsty come. Let the one who desires take the water of life without price, because the Lamb paid the price. And if you would have him, if you would come, if you would have him as your treasure, you're in the book. Father, please take this word and awaken thousands of hearts to see Jesus as beautiful, satisfying, compelling over all contenders. And grant that those hearts now would live humbly and happily and die humbly and happily to show that Jesus is more precious than life.